Good evening, America, and welcome back to the Rents Radio Network and Wide Awake News. I am your host for the next hour, Michael Woody O'Brien. This is the Abolish Fiat Slavery Hour, where, of course, we talk about my life's work to abolish the fiat slavery of the Federal Reserve and fiat slavery of all time. People just don't understand that the fiat slavery isn't just about money. It's about permits. It's about licenses. It's about taxes. Anything that your government daddy makes you have a piece of paper and pay a fee for something they've conjured is just a form of fiat slavery. But, of course, the part that's the most well-known is the Federal Reserve and our infinite money printing system, which they politely now call quantitative easing. Hey, we have a great guest with us tonight, Don Herold, a.k.a. Chili D, famous market sage, a great caller of the bullion market, especially silver. Don, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Woody.
So, Don, tell me what you think about these markets, starting with the S&P 500. Where do you think that we're at in terms of the economic cycle and the cycle of these markets? Are we going higher? Are we going lower? Are we going sideways? Where do you think we're going from here?
Well, I think one thing that we're going to see is a move that will be startlingly shocking. Now, to take you back in time, when I talked to people about silver about 6 months ago, I said the next move will stun people. They will not believe the violence of the move. My guess is down, but one way or another, there will be a violent move. And the market's volatility is so low, you don't get this kind of complacency for too long before you do get someone's face getting kicked in. I suspect the move is going to be down. Too many people, I think, expect the move to be higher, so I would think the move would be down.
And is that based just on technical analysis, or do you have a fundamental reason?
No, I've moved beyond technical. I've moved beyond fundamental. I'm in the realm of emotional analysis. It
is really hard to imagine with the S&P 500 and the Dow up almost 20% for the year, how they can maintain that pace in an economy where it doesn't, unless you really believe the government numbers that things are getting better and kind of don't believe your eyes and your ears. It's just hard for me to imagine, and especially you see more companies now. They might be reporting a little bit better profits, but they're doing it on a little bit lesser revenues, and that is usually a pretty good tell that we're going to see a downturn in profits in the not-too-distant future.
Well, I think that you have to just assume that all the numbers are fake. They're all phony. None of it's real. And just ask, where will the greatest degree of pain be meted out? And I think the greatest degree of pain would be meted out at those who are coming in along between 14.5 and 16,000.
Yeah. I was looking today, and one of the charts that really jumped out to me today was the financial stock index, especially the XLF, because let's face it, banks have led this on the way up. We're now the better part of 6 years past the last fake bank bailout and fake financial crisis. And hey, let's face it, they got away with the last one in 2008 by playing possum dead in the middle of the road in order to get all kinds of free money programs. Isn't it about time that they play that card again? Isn't it about time that the banks, which have been leading the stock market higher and higher and higher, with what are basically black box businesses, which not a lot of people understand? I would say J.P. Morgan could be 5 guys in a building someplace, and no one would know the difference as long as they put out numbers that they could get people to believe. It reminds me a lot of Enron. What do you think?
Well, I think that if you look at XLF specifically, it's nowhere near the highs of 2007, and I think that I agree with your assessment that banks have certainly moved higher, but I wouldn't say they've led the market higher. They've lagged as a sector the overall performance of the markets, but they made a very big percent move. Now, I mean, the percent move from the bottom on the XLF is about 400%. So, I mean, you can make that case it's a strong move. Of course, they got crushed. I think that the banks, I think that the conventional wisdom is is that they're probably going to get more handouts and more bailouts, et cetera. But I also think that if you use that as a fundamental reason to buy financial stocks right now, it's a great time for the powers that be to pull the rug out from under you. So I wouldn't trust that at all as a reason to go long.
I have to tell you, I'll always remember the day that Bank of America slid under $5, and that's the point to which it is. Pensions and many other institutions would have to sell it. And that was just not going to happen. It never, I don't think, had a close of the day under $5 that would have triggered that selling. And as much as I realized that stock was going to be a teenager before too long, I just couldn't bring myself to buy a stock like Bank of America, figuring I would probably need a shower 3 times a day just to feel clean.
And also, I've given up the notion, and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm completely serious. I've given up the notion of trying to figure fundamentals into this thing. I don't know what fundamentals that you would use to measure this market or why you would even go that route. It's all fake. It's all phony. It's all rigged. None of it's real. And you better get down with using some charts or finding some other reason to buy or sell outside of trying to figure out the economy around you. It's all rigged.
Yeah, it really is. And you don't see that in any better example than markets like coffee, where 6 or 7 million more people enter their coffee drinking years every single month, but the price of coffee keeps going lower and lower and lower.
But since the last time you and I spoke, JO has gone sideways, which is a positive. I like it. I like JO. Now, do I think there's more downside? There may be more downside, but that's the kind of thing that I think that you want to look at.
Yeah. Well, we're hopefully much closer to the bottom on that one. We'll only know in hindsight, but again, that's a perfect example of something that if you looked at the fundamentals, you'd be wrong for a very long time. I think natural gas is another one. There's natural gas being produced everywhere, and the price swings in natural gas really don't reflect supply very greatly. They just reflect the manipulated game, controlled market.
If you look at the natural gas stocks or the ETFs that trade based on the stocks or the price of natural gas, you would assume that no one would ever use natural gas. It's apparently just done.
Yeah, we're giving it away. Now let's go back to the banks for a second, because today on Bloomberg, J.P. Morgan is admitting that it is involved in a criminal probe for its mortgage MBS. And at the same time, we have Bank of America saying that Justice Department is looking into there. Other than the assurance that no banker will end up in handcuffs, do you have any predictions you'd like to make about either of those?
Yeah, it's a great story. The biggest case of securities fraud in recent memory was Goldman Sachs a few years ago, and they had like a $500 million fine that came out of that. Now, that seems like a lot of money. It just so happens that the day of the fine, the day that it was announced, their stock rose to the tune of, let's call it $500 million. I forget what the exact numbers were, but it was very close to the same. So literally, they made up all of that with the stock moving higher. I mean, these guys have an incredible racket, and nothing touches these guys.
And you know what? Who's to say that when they actually pay these fines, that they're paying them with real money, as opposed to knocking on Bernanke's door and saying, "Hey, we need $500 million. Can you lend it to us for 100 years at a 10 basis points?"
Well, no, hold on. You see, part of the details of all of these settlements is they get paid out over 10, 20, 30 years. And they also, if you look at the last settlement, Goldman Sachs again, look at the amount of money they took in TARP. If you look at the TARP they took and the concurrent rise of their stock price, they made out like bandits. And in fact, that's what they are. So there's no money coming out of Blank Fine's pockets or Diamond's pockets. It'll be shares increasing in value, selling some shares, and laughing all the way to the bank. No pun intended.
Well, we're going to go to the break here in a minute, but when we come back, we're going to dip a little bit into commodities, especially gold and silver. Don has been a great sage in what is going to go on in silver markets, has made some terrific calls there, both up and down, and we'll talk about that when we come back. I'm your host, Woody O'Brien, AbolishFiatSlavery.com and WoodyKnowsMarkets.com. I'm the only Woody O'Brien on Facebook, and we will be right back.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question from my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Dr. Joe Schneller.
The efficacy that we're looking for, that we're going to prove, is that carnivora wakes up this immune system and makes it dominant.
Pastor Lindsey Williams.
I'm 77 years of age. I feel better than I did when I was in my 50s and 60s. I was so sick, I thought I was going to die. It relates to a product that you handle right here. Folks, you positively must, after this show, you've got to click on Carnivora. They must have it in their medicine cabinet.
That's CARNIVORA.com. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY. That's 866-VENUS-FLY. 1-866-836-8735. That's 1-866-836-8735. Or visit CARNIVORA.com. That's carnivora.com, and order now.
Hi, this is Jeff Rentz. Royal Raymond Rife was without question the most gifted medical scientific genius of our age. He discovered that most disease-related microbes die quickly when exposed to their own specialized resonant radio frequencies. The BCX 411 Rife-type frequency instrument has received the highest praise on several continents for its precision, simplicity of operation, and successful research experiment. The BCX, with its comprehensive manual, allows you to select the frequencies you wish to experiment with for the length of time you want to run them. The BCX handheld plasma ray tubes and RF radio carrier wave, like Rife used, are the absolute state-of-the-art in Rife frequency research. For full information and pictures, take the New Earth link at the top of Rents.com. Settle for nothing but the best in Rife research with the BCX 411. Again, just take the New Earth link at the top left corner of Rents.com.
And we are back. I'm Michael Woody O'Brien, your host, economist, investment newsletter writer, and small-scale organic farmer. This is the AbolishFiatSlavery.com hour for Rents Radio Network and Wide Awake News. We're back with our guest market sage, Don Herold. And Don, when we were getting ready to go on the break, we said we're going to come back and we're going to talk about bullion and commodities. What do you see going on in the bullion and commodities markets from here for the rest of the year?
A bunch of frauds and hucksters selling overpriced generic rounds on YouTube. Oh, you meant the price.
Yeah, the price.
I was thinking the price. I think that my target of 17.5, I don't see any reason to pull that. I mean, it got down to 18.25, I think, and that's pretty darn good. But I just don't see any reason, because I don't see the volume of capitulation. I don't see people freaking out yet. I don't see anybody who has had the wood put to them yet. I know a lot of the so-called stackers are still laughing and chuckling. So I think that you got to put the hammer down. And I think if you believe in manipulation and you think banksters are manipulating, get ready for them to manipulate it down below 17.5.
Well, I think one of the things that I have found interesting is when we get to these kind of price levels, you start to see these very interesting stories about COMEX and other banks running out of gold. There's actually one tonight on Zero Hedge, which shows some depository receipt that J.P. Morgan had to rush borrow 6,400 ounces of gold from HSBC Bank. Like, that's supposed to be 6,400 ounces of gold is not really a whole lot of gold. And it's acted like, well, this is some dramatic, short squeeze in gold, and we're going to wake up tomorrow morning at $3,500. I just find some of the bulls' arguments about physical delivery, they're getting to the point of being laughable.
Well, first off, with respect to Zero Hedge, when have they ever been right about precious metals? You let me know when that happens. Secondly, with respect to any stories about defaults and all that, there's no story that you and I can verify with respect to the banks and what they hold or what they don't hold. Why can't it be the case that banks float phony stories? I mean, for example, people have been saying that the Roswell crash was aliens, but then the real story is most likely that that's the government floating a story to get you off the trail of what it really was. It was some sort of secret project. So why in the world does anybody believe these stories? They're all phony. They've never been proven true, and it's just so sad.
Well, especially, too, because banks are so tightly connected to media through interlocking ownership, it's easier for them to plant stories and fake stories. And you're exactly correct. Diversion is the name of the game. When we were here last week with our mutual friend Doug Newberry, who was my guest, I said, there's a huge diversion that had been going on, which is the media couldn't shut up about the irrelevant Trayvon Martin case and some second string tight end for the Patriots who murdered somebody, and now some housewives in New Jersey. But nobody was talking about Bradley Manning. It's easy to get people talking about things that don't matter and not about things that do matter.
It really is sad. I mean, you're talking about a whole other topic there, but the issue of people. I'm fascinated by the junk people listen to. Our power went out the other day for about 5 hours, and so I wanted to use my little crank radio to see what was going on. And the only channel I could pick up was a stupid talk radio channel, and it was ESPN Radio talking about, ironically, the Aaron Hernandez deal. And I thought, are there people that actually listen to this stuff? Like, really? Are there really people who think this is important and they have this on for any reason? And I guess they do. I guess there are some people that are into this stuff, and it's just mind-blowing to me.
Well, it's almost as if they need to get a life. Now, away from bullion, is there any other parts of the commodity complex that you think are interesting here for the rest of the year?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that am I allowed to talk about miners at all?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that miners are interesting play here. I think that sugar is another one, and I think that anything involving farmland, if you can, and that's not a stock or anything, but if you can get a hold of some farmland, some land, I think that the Jim Rogers trades are always on the table. Yeah. I just think, you want to pick your spots when you're buying them.
Well, actually, there's one really great way that people can own a huge amount of farmland. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's a South American company that has an ADR that's listed, and it's called Agro, AGRO, and they own thousands of acres. I did the math for this company, and the debt-free land, farmland that they own in South America is about $52 an acre if it's valued at $5,000 an acre, but the stocks is about $6.50. And it does sugar for ethanol. It does coffee. It raises cattle. It's all diversified among agriculture, and here the stock is selling for about 9% of the value of the land that it actually owns. So that's
what's the symbol on that again?
AGRO.
AGRO.
And it's a company that's making money, but it's one of those ones. It's very, very up and down on the whims of the market. But it's one of those ones you can say, well, someday we'll wake up and people in New York will be scrambling for food positions, and it'll be back over $10. Hey, we're going to take a real quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about our mutual friend Adam Kokesh, who is in the slammer again for his gun-toting in Washington, D.C. I'm Woody O'Brien. This is the Abolish Fiat Slavery Hour on Rents Radio Network and Wide Awake News, and we will be right back.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the Internet on the Rents Radio Network.
Is what you are currently doing to relieve your pain working for you? Do you have chronic pain in your knees, your elbows, your joints, your back, your muscles? Have you tried going to the doctors and the naturopathic doctors, the back cracks, the motions, the potions, the lotions, and nothing seems to really last? There's a new product called a placebo enhancer. Now, don't laugh. The name is to avoid tyranny from the drug cartels that want to keep everybody on a leash. This product is advanced science. It's cutting edge. It's quantum physics-based, energy-infused liquid suspension with a transdermal magnesium applicant. You spray a couple sprays on where it hurts, and that's all you have to do, and within 20 minutes it's in every one of your cells. Go to painsucks.info and get the information. That's painsucks.info. Again, you can get a free trial bottle. Just pay shipping and handling at painsucks.info. Your pain isn't going to go away on its own, so get your trial bottle immediately. Painsucks.info.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
And we're back. I'm Michael Woody O'Brien. This is the Rents Radio Network and Wide Awake News. You're here with me on the Abolish Fiat Slavery Hour. And while we were on the break, Don and I were talking about the restaurant business, and we had a conversation earlier today where I said to Don, restaurants is where money goes to die. Don't open one. I would say it's the one business to which it is. I know I would never get in. I feel sorry for my friends that own restaurants. They work like dogs, and it seems in every case they are. If you think you're a slave to government in whatever it is you do now for a living, man, open a restaurant. You will never believe the slavery that you will be under. And I would say if you talk to enough people that have restaurants, it'll talk you out of it. It reminds me of that old adage, Don, where you say, you had an idea and you want to lay down until that idea goes away. If you're thinking about opening a restaurant, talk to enough people who own them until you realize it's a bad idea. What do you think, Don?
Well, I think that to own a restaurant, you need to have the passion and you need to have the drive and you need to have the patience, and it's a lot of things have got to come together. And I want to own a restaurant for a lot of reasons that don't involve making money. Frankly, I just like the idea, but liking the idea at this stage in my life is not financially smart. So it's just not something I think I'll be doing right now.
Well, I have to tell you, when this idea comes to me is if you're a reasonably successful person in America, at some point in time, you'll have some mental flirtation with the restaurant business. And the one that is always in the back of my mind is to have a restaurant that is attached to a farm, and all the food served at the restaurant is food that is produced on the farm, whether it's beef or chicken or eggs or vegetables in greenhouses. And the one time I had a serious discussion with somebody on this, he said, you don't realize you're opening up a double can of worms, because you have all the restaurant regulation and you have all the agricultural regulation. You might think you're saving money by vertically integrating and growing and producing the food it is you'd serve at the restaurant. He said, but you're only multiplying the problems that you'll have from regulators by a factor of 10. And I couldn't imagine that was true, but sure enough, he was right.
I'd like to ask real quick, are we live or are we recorded right now? It's weird. I'm reading the chat and I can't figure out, are we the ones that are not listening or talking or what? This is always a chat. I think an interesting chat, because I think people get into the chat and they start talking to each other. I wonder if they're paying attention to the show. So if you're in the chat room, somebody say we're listening to the show in the chat. So I know that you actually can hear I've never
us.
seen more comments that were so ethnically interesting.
Yeah, I would say not about the show.
Not about what we're talking about. Anyway.
Now, before the break, I mentioned that you and I have a mutual good friend and who is becoming more famous all the time, and that is Adam Kokesh, who recently had a little SWAT team in the middle of the night come to his house for him making a video doing something that I actually do several times a day, which is to load a shotgun and walk around my farm and see if I can send any groundhogs down to the birds of prey buffet that I have at the edge of my land. And I guess he is in jail now for who knows what, but I'll tell you, it's a great kind of issue in the patriot community. Adam Kokesh, pro, con, undecided. You and I have known Adam for a while. What do you think of this situation that he's in?
Predictable. I mean, in fact, the very day he announced his 4th of July thing, I told you he will be in federal prison.
Yeah, it's funny you did tell me that.
He's going to federal prison.
Yeah, but it's one of those going to federal prison for something real, going to federal prison for something contrived. I have a very difficult time understanding the amount of law enforcement resources being put to bear, because he made a video loading a shotgun on Freedom Plaza in a city where the Supreme Court said in a very recent decision it is absolutely lawful to own a gun.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to take a position here that maybe a lot of your viewers won't agree with or won't necessarily like, but I have to say that I'm not comfortable with folks in Freedom Plaza or in D.C. talking about armed revolution and talking about encircling the White House with guns and things like that. I happen to be in the Bobby Powell camp, if you know who that is, on that issue. I just think that there are other ways to do this. And I also find it difficult to understand why it is that anybody thought that would affect any change outside of him ending up in prison.
Well, to me, the part I think is bizarre about this is if you're a patriot and you'd like to see the overthrow of the U.S. government, boy, you better be praying for a military coup, because I got news for you. That's the only way it's going to happen, because short of, a series of 1,000 assassinations of corporate bankers and political leaders, because the truth is if the U.S. military continues to side with the government and do whatever it is the government wants to do to the people, I got news for you. The U.S. military has the firepower to put down any bunch of gun nuts, no matter how many people it is that they have. I mean, people do not really fully understand the power of simple military things like Predator drones. I mean, if the U.S. government wants you dead, you're dead. Look at that reporter out in California. They hacked into his car and blew it up, and the engine was 100 yards away. Now, I would tell anybody, take an engine out of a car, think about shot putting it 2 feet. Right. And then realize the amount of energy required to send an engine 100 yards.
Now, you're a smart guy, and so as smart as you are, I think that looking at this from the outside, then you have to ask, why would someone of Adam's intelligence, we know him to be intelligent.
Oh, he's a very smart guy.
Did he not recognize that he would end up in jail? Did he not recognize? I mean, hold on. Wait. He said in the video, I've committed 5 felonies or whatever. He says, I know I've committed these felonies. You can't, like I said, tug on Superman's cape, spit in the wind, pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger. You don't mess around with Jim. And in this case, Jim's the federal government. Yeah. You can't go into Freedom Square or whatever that was and load a shotgun up and not expect what he got. That's the thing about this I find very difficult to understand.
Well, I guess the part of it is until, I personally speak to Adam at some point in the future, because, my first question would be, what is the goal of all this? Because maybe being arrested and being in jail and generating publicity for, Adam versus the man, the brand, and launching him into the national maybe that is the goal of all this, and maybe he's happy with how this is going so far. But it's one of those that friends of his like you and me just watch this from afar and just scratch our head and go, what in the heck is he trying to do here? Because if he's trying to do what he says he's trying to do, boy, this is the least effective way I can imagine to go about it.
If he had ever consulted with me, in fact, we had one conversation one time where I said to him, I said, dude, what are you doing? Why would you do this stuff? I mean, almost like a father figure to him, like, wait, snap out of this. And he said, look, I don't have any kids. I'm not married. This is my time. And if they come for me, they come for me. And I'm fine with that. And I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not, he's free to do what he wants to do, I suppose, but I just don't understand what change got affected. And also the folks running his show right now. I mean, you look at this and you go, this was what was behind his show. I mean, this is, I don't know. It's just one of the strangest things I've ever seen.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say I love Adam. I think he's a great guy. I think he has balls the size of Kansas. And, I wish him the best in what it is that he's doing, but I find myself going, he's a smart guy, and there's parts of this that don't make any sense to me at all. But, it could just be, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until I know better that there's a plan behind all this that makes sense, because when I look at it from afar, I just go, it doesn't really make much sense to me. Hey, we're going to go and we're going to have a short break here. But when we come back, we're going to take a couple of minutes to talk about Obamacare and the Obama-Putin meeting that is off. I'm Woody O'Brien of AbolishFiatSlavery.com and WoodyKnowsMarkets.com. Please friend me on Facebook. I'm the only Woody O'Brien on Facebook. We will be back in just a minute.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make seedsnow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at seedsnow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BIOAGE.com. BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics. Are you prepared for the future? Do you know how to navigate past the upcoming dangers before it's too late and seize budding opportunities before others do? Forecasting worldwide since 1980, Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, provides timely and accurate trend forecasts that have earned him the reputation as the most trusted name in trends. The proof is in the hundreds of accurate forecasts Celente has made over the past 30 years. The 1987 stock market crash, the clean food trend, the dot-com bust. The Trends Journal alerts subscribers to early, subtle signs of crucial trends that will shape our future. It allows readers to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take proactive strategies. Put your money where your mind is with Gerald Celente's brilliant and indispensable Trends Journal. Go to trendsjournal.com or call 845-331-3500. That's 845-331-3500.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already beginning.
And we are back here on the Rinse Radio Network and Wide Awake News. I am your host, Michael Woody O'Brien. This is the abolishfiatslavery.com hour. You can find me there. You can also find me at woodyknowsmarkets.com and friend me on Facebook. I am the only Woody O'Brien on Facebook. However, Don, there is a Woody O'Brien's bar. It's an Irish pub in Saginaw, Michigan. So I now have that on my bucket list to go to Saginaw, Michigan and drink a pint at the Irish pub that shares my name. Don, where can people find you on Facebook or on what website?
Facebook, they can't do. I don't do Facebook. You just go to YouTube, I guess, and youtube.com/daytradeshow. And interestingly enough, I sure wish I could change the name of my channel from Day Trade Show because I don't day trade anymore. So I haven't done that in a long time. Oh well.
So one of the latest things that hit the news today is Obama is so PO'd, apparently, about Snowden, and that the Russians have decided to have a little fun with Snowden and keep him from going back to the United States, giving him temporary asylum until he figures out something else to go. Obama now says the meeting with you is off. To me, this just sounds dumber than a bag of hammers to go, we're not going to meet with the other superpower in the world because we're mad the guy who embarrassed us with the spying we were doing is being harbored by people who are supposed to be our friends.
The Russians are supposed to be our friends? Is that accurate? Do you believe that? Do you believe that that's...
I think the Russians should be our friends. Because
do you think that Putin is our friend? Do you think
no, I don't think Putin is our friend. I actually think Putin is a very, very smart guy. And I think Putin is actually abiding his time, because my theory is Putin wants to go down in history as the Wayne Gretzky of all communists. And he's just waiting for the moment that he has enough bullion to declare a gold-backed ruble at $5,000 an ounce and flush the entire Western banking system down the drain without firing a shot or launching a missile. So I think Putin's a very savvy guy with a very, very big ego. But to me, if somebody who was embarrassing your rival ended up in your airport asking you to protect them from them being thrown into a dark hole with Bradley Manning, of course you would do that. It's like a shot from the free throw line for the Russians to allow Snowden to stay in the Soviet Union or help him get to another country. And it seems to me to be beneath the President of the United States to say, I'm going to cancel a meeting with the head of Russia because they're holding this guy who embarrassed us.
Well, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but you assume that Snowden is real, that Obama and Putin aren't laughing behind closed doors. I mean,
you're exactly right, because this is the world where down is up and up is down, and you really kind of can't believe anyone. But I do know this. Obama was on Jay Leno the other night and said, we're not spying on the American people, which, of course, everybody knows now is untrue, because they'll say, well, we're not spying on the American people except when they do this, and except when they do this, and except when they do this. And if you add up all that, except the exceptions, the answer is they're spying on everybody all the time.
Well, I mean, hold on, man. If you'd have told you and me in high school, say 20, 30 years ago, that there'd be a country we live in with drones overhead and government agencies literally listening to your calls and reading what we didn't even know existed yet, but something called emails, just those things alone, you'd say, oh, no way. There's no way that's possible. What are you talking about? So drones overhead, and they're reading your mail. So, I mean,
well, I guess Nixon really wasn't a crook by today's standards. He is a piker. I mean, he wiretapped a couple of people, but to me, it's just one of those. It just seems to me to be silly. And actually, as far as the drones go, I am very open about the fact that I live 6 miles away from a United States Air Force base. And a couple times a week, I have C-5s that fly over my farm, coming back from Bagram in Afghanistan and from Fallujah. And I'm looking forward to the day that a drone flies over my farm, because I'm practicing daily with groundhogs. And I hope the Air Force flies a drone over my farm, because I want to be the American folk hero farmer who shoots down the first one.
Well, let me say this. I can see practical applications for drones. I can see practical applications for a lot of things. There are even a lot of the onerous, tyrannical-sounding government programs and agencies and laws which can have a positive aspect. I think that the trouble I've got with all of this is too much power in too few hands, and the results don't historically end up to be very positive in the long run for a lot of people.
Well, I can only think of one practical good use for drones, and that is their agricultural use to help farmers look at their crops in the field without being on top of their crops in the field.
I mean, I can think of all sorts of stuff. I mean, in Katrina in New Orleans, that had been a great tool to survey the damage and to find survivors and things. I mean, there are, technology in and of itself is not bad. Ironically, even Adam Kokesh, just to go back to something you talked about earlier, Adam Kokesh is a big believer that technology is not the problem, and he's not against a lot of the technology.
Yeah, I know he's very big on the 3D printing, and told me one time we're going to be able to print food, and I thought, well, I hope so, because we've got an awful lot of people to feed, and the number grows by 6 million people every single month. So I mean, technology. I for one would like to see drones used by city fire departments, so that when a fire is reported, they can get the drone over the fire before the firemen get there, and be able to have a view of it to be able to better coordinate the fire company's response. To me, that would be a good use of a drone. But the problem is once you put something in the air that can see everything, and that drone is a government vehicle, the opportunities for warrantless spying become unlimited.
I know. Well, I think the best use of drones would be to find Bigfoot.
You know, it's funny. Every time my nephew talks about the Bigfoot show that's on TV, I wonder why they haven't, gotten one of those drones with a heat-seeking kind of camera or something on it. Because you're right. That it'd be easy to find Bigfoot if you had one of those. You just look for the right heat signature. But
yeah, absolutely.
Anyhow, well, I just think that the going back to Obama and Putin, to me, it just seems to be a ridiculous thing. And even more ridiculous is this denial that they're engaged in of spying on the American people. And to me, one of the reasons this is just so maddening is not just that the spying is warrantless and it's legal, it's that the spying is stupid. It's a waste of money. Right. If anything, all they're getting is intelligence after the fact if something happens, so that they can go back and look at the emails of those kids in Boston to see who they were communicating with, and they can make up emails if they can't find them. To me, the problem is, the government doesn't have any real use for this to really be able to stop anything. And if you think about the money that they're spending on this stuff, it's hundreds of billions of dollars a year for what? And you know what? To me, at the end of the day, this is really the difference between the mindset of people who work in the private sector and the mindset of people who work in government. The people who work in government will expend any amount of money without ever stopping and asking, what in the hell are we getting for this money that is worth the money that we are spending? Because if you think about, let's just say they've spent $1 trillion so far at NSA and at CIA in the past decade spying on people. What in the world do we have that's worth $1 trillion for that? I can't think of anything.
They stopped another terrorist attack recently. There.
But you know what? Okay, let's assume that that's true. Okay? Let's assume that they stopped a terrorist attack and saved the lives of 25 Americans.
Okay.
For $1 trillion, I guess what? 6,600 Americans die every single day from 1,000 different reasons. And no matter how much money you spend, you're not going to be able to stop that. If 25 people didn't die from a terrorist attack, if you spend $1 trillion for every 25 people you save, we'd be broke in no time.
But we're running out of time here, so I know what I'm about to say would spark a whole other conversation. But if they could stop someone from setting off a nuke or something like that, the intelligence gathering is probably worth it. Now,
my difficulty is that in countries where terrorism is real, stuff blows up every single day.
Yeah, but I don't want to live there. Do you want to live there?
No. I'm not saying that. But the truth is the only time we have stuff blowing up in the U.S., it always comes back. It always comes out that these bombers were patsies. They had FBI informants in there who gave them the fake bomb. To me, there's a constant effort to create fake terrorism in the U.S. to keep this Ponzi scheme of the war on terror well-funded.
I mean, I do buy that, but I also know that there are lots of folks around the world who would be very happy to take us down, and I think this is the conundrum I've got. I understand the arguments for and against all of this. I'm sad that we can't trust the powers that be. That's what I'm sad about, because we ought to be able to trust that our money and our time and efforts are going into actually protecting us and not into boondoggle programs.
Well, our enemies don't have to try and take us down. We're doing it ourselves. We're our own worst enemy. Hey, thank you, Don Herold, for being on the show. This is Woody O'Brien. Please friend me on Facebook, Woody O'Brien on Facebook. Visit the websites abolishfiatslavery.com and WoodyKnowsMarkets.com. Always great to be with you. We will see you here next Wednesday at 9, 6, 7,
roads inside your market, your shops, your clothes. My dad, he's got a lot of fear, I know, but enough pride inside, nothing let that show. My brother had a book he would hold with pride, a little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside, when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling for nightly news to replay. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like what did he say?
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Liberty Coin and Precious Metals is one of the fastest growing gold sellers in the country. And as one of their customers, I know why. They simplify the process of buying coins and precious metals. No hidden fees, no hard sell, no mystery. Just great prices. In fact, some of the best in the nation. And they post their buy and sell prices on the web and in their stores. I value that transparency. And Liberty's experts took the time to get to know me and my investment needs. And they're serious about privacy. There are so many reasons I'm now a Liberty Coin and Precious Metals customer. But the most important is I trust Liberty. Call Liberty Coin and Precious Metals. 877-511-COIN. That's 877-511-COIN. Or on the web at libertycpm.com.
Liberty.
You're listening to the Rents Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rents.com.
IRN USA.